how many generations you keep it. That's true. So when people ask Robert where to start getting rich, he gives them the same Rich Dad gave him. If you want to be rich, you need to be financially literate. That's true. Robert compares the way many people act to building a skyscraper on a slab made for a small home. Because kids graduate school with little financial education, they launch into their adult lives chasing the American dream, but to find themselves deep in debt. The only way out that they can see is get rich strategy. But without having that financial literacy background, their efforts are like building a skyscraper on a weak foundation. Instead of creating an Empire State Building, they end up with the Leaning Tower of Siberia. Robert and his childhood friends, Mike, however, were giving a strong foundation worthy of skyscraper thanks to the teaching of the rich dad. Accounting as a subject is boring, confusing, and absolutely crucial to financial success. To make it accessible to kids, Rich Dad used pictures to teach it to boys. Only later did he start adding numbers to guide the boys through key concepts. Rule number 1, Robert says, is that you must know the difference between an asset and liability, and only buy assets. That's all you need to know. But despite is being so simple, it's something that many people don't understand. When Rich Dad first explained this to his 2 now teenagers, they thought he was kidding. Could adults not understand this? Shouldn't everyone be rich? The problem is that most people have been educated differently by bankers, financial planners, and others, so they must unlearn what they think they know. Some finding the meaning to return to such a basic introduction. So trying to unlearn things that you have already been taught or that you already think you know, that can be hard for some people to unlearn what you think you already know. The true definition of asset and liability lies not in words but in numbers. So Robert used drawings to help readers the same way Rich Dad used them to help him. This is the cash flow pattern of an asset. The top part of the diagram is an income statement, often called a profit and loss statement. It measures incomes and expenses, money in and money out. The lower part of the diagram is a balance sheet. It's called that because it's supposed to balance assets against liabilities. So here goes the income statement. You can see down here on the. Here's another one on this side. All right, so assets add to your income. They put money back in your pocket. This is a cash flow pattern of liability. A liability takes money out of your pocket. So want to be rich, buy assets. It seems simple, but so many people struggle because they buy liabilities. If you want to gain and maintain wealth, you must build your understanding. Hey, if you come on my live, you're going to have to help me read. I don't know who that was. Okay, so want to be rich, buy asset. It seems simple, but so many people struggle because they buy liabilities. If you want to gain and maintain wealth, you must build your understanding. It's not just straight numbers, it's how the numbers tell a story. Follow the arrows in each of these diagrams to see where the money is flowing, or cash flow. It will tell you the story, the plot of the financial situation. This is the cash flow pattern for poor people. So I just showed y'all the diagrams. So here's another diagram before we get back into reading. Okay. All right. So through these simplified diagrams, the cash flow tells the story of how each person handles money. Often those in debt think the answer is to make more money. But not only will more money not always solve their problems, it may compound them. It's why many people who get a sudden windfall through the lottery or an inheritance, for instance, so quickly burn through it. An increase in cash only results in an increase in spending. What is missing for so many people is financial education. It's why they might end up successful in their professions but still struggling with money. They may have learned how to make money but not how to manage it. People can be very intelligent and still be illiterate when it comes to finances. They learn how to work hard for money, but not how to make their money work hard for them. So Robert tells the story of a young couple who is married and start their lives together. Their incomes begin to increase, but so do their expenses. The couple is hit with a number one expense for most people: taxes. Boy. And for many people, it's not income tax that gives the biggest hit, but Social Security. It's roughly 15% Social Security tax combined with the Medicare tax rate, all of which must be matched by the employer funds that the employer now can't pay the workers. And the employee is charged income tax on that amount too. The young people is faced with those taxes, and when they buy a house or property tax, and it goes with the new house and new car, new furniture and new appliances. Suddenly their liabilities go up, filling with mortgages and credit card debt. The couple is trapped in the rat race. Add a baby to the mix, and they work harder, higher incomes that lead to higher taxes. They continue to rack up debt, eventually rolling into their mortgages in a consolidation loan. But their habits haven't changed, so the credit card debt continues. Not to mention, they extend their home loan. For this couple, and so many like them, their true problem is not knowing how to handle the money they have. It's caused by a financial literacy and not understanding the true difference between an asset and liability. So many people don't take the time to question whether something makes sense and simplify, follow the crowd. Often they mindlessly repeat what they have been told. Diversify. Your home is an asset. You get a tax break for going into greater debt. Get a safe job. Don't make mistakes. Don't take risks. Because of this large amount of time Robert and Mike spent sitting in on the meetings, which Rich Dad is learning from the intelligent people he surrounded himself with, they learned a lot and learned to question the standard dogma taught in their school. I don't know what that was. It began to cause problems and made them grow distance from their teachers. Robert also began disagreeing with his own father over money matters, especially when it comes to his poor dad's view that his home was his greatest investment. In contrast, Rich Dad saw his home as a liability. So many people still believe that their home is an asset. But Robert teaches that a home is a liability because it takes money out of your pocket, not only with taxes and expenses, but because it is a loss in value and opportunities missed when all the money is tied up in your house. At that causes you to lose out on education of investment experience. That does not mean you can't even buy a bigger house, but make sure to first buy assets that will generate the cash flow to pay for the house. When there are enough assets to generate more than enough income to cover expenses, the balance is reinvested into assets, which grows the asset columns on a balance sheet, which produces more income. The result is that the rich who understands the difference between assets and liabilities gets richer. True. The middle class gets stuck in the rat race because they treat their home as an asset instead of investing in income-producing assets. They are also stuck because their salary is a primary source of income. And thus, when their income increases, so does their taxes. Many invest in mutual funds, paying a manager to handle their accounts because they don't have the time or the expertise to do it themselves. They feel that like a mutual fund is playing it safe. And they have to play it safe because their balance sheets are not balanced. Okay? They can't take advantage of opportunities because they are maxed out on debt and only have their salary bringing money in. Want to grow rich? Concentrate your efforts on buying income-producing assets. When you truly understand what an asset is, keep liabilities and expenses low, you'll deepen your asset column. So, how do you know when you're wealthy? Robert uses a definition by R. Buckminster Fuller. Wealth is a person's ability to survive so many numbers of days forward. So, or if I stop working today, how long can I survive? So you have to ask yourself that. You know, if you stop working today, would you still have money to survive and keep up the lifestyle that you're living now? Another way of stating is wealth is measured of the cash flow from the asset column compared with the expense column. So when your asset generates enough income to cover your expenses, you are wealthy, even if you're not rich. Okay? So look at the numbers and learn to read the story they are telling. Assets puts money back in your pocket. If something takes money out of your pocket, it's not an asset, it's a liability. The balance sheet's drawings helps explain the movement of money through different people's lives. The subconscious moment, the fear of causing people to conform to and not to question commonly accepted opinions of popular trends, often in their financial derailment. So what was Robert saying? Now it's time to reflect. Ask yourself, what is Robert saying in the quote? And why does he say that? In this section, you do not need to agree or disagree with Robert. The goal is to understand what Robert is saying. So do you guys feel that you have to have income producing assets over liability? And you have to ask yourself, if you were to, even if you don't have a 9-to-5 job, if you're self-employed, you know, could you take off for a month or two in 3 months, you know, and still be okay? All right, so remember, this curriculum is designed to be cooperative and supportive. 2 minds are better than 1. So if you do not understand what Robert is saying, do not shy away from it. Ask for help and understanding. Take the time to discuss each quote until you understand it. It is not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Intelligence solves problems and produces money. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. If you are going to build the Empire State Building, the first thing you need to do is dig a deep hole and pour a strong foundation. If you are going to build a home in the suburbs, all you need to do is pour a 6-inch slab of concrete. Most people, in their drive to get rich, are trying to build an Empire State Building on a 6-inch slab. Rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities and they think they are assets. If your pattern is to spend everything you get, most likely an increase in cash will just result in an increase in spending. True. In 80% of most families, the financial story paints a picture of hard work to get ahead. However, this effort is for not because they spend their lives buying liabilities instead of assets, but not fully understanding money. The vast majority of people allows the awesome power to control them. So now it's time to take the stories in these chapters along with the understanding of what Robert was saying and apply them to you in your life. Now ask yourself the question below and discuss them with your study partner. Be honest with yourself and your partner. If you do not like some of the answers you are given, ask yourself if you're willing to change and accept the challenge and to change your thoughts and your mindsets. So 1. So when did your financial education begin? And what is it with the book or from another source? 2, how did you react when you first read Robert's definition of assets and liabilities? Okay, 3, how did you react when he stated that a home is not an asset? Had you viewed yours as one? After he fully laid out his argument, did he change your mind? So, how did you guys feel when you heard that a home is not an asset? Which cash flow situation likes most like your life? Other than your home, is there something that you thought was an asset that later revealed itself to be a liability? And would you agree with this statement? What is missing from most people's education is not how to make money, but how to manage money. Why or why not? Rich Dad told his boys that it's not the numbers that matters in accounting, but the numbers are telling you what the story do the numbers in your life tell you. And when was the time in your life that was seemingly positive accomplishment, such as a promotion or a raise, didn't lead to the balance sheet results you expected? And how many days forward could you survive if you stop working today? Does the number surprise you or frighten you? So them are some questions to ask yourself, guys. Take some sip of water. All right, so he has some definitions down here, like the 401k. What is a 401k? Asset, balance sheet, and cash flow. We all know 401k is a U.S. Retirement plan. Asset, something that puts money in your pocket with minimum labor. The balance sheet is the lower part of an income statement diagram, so called because it's supposed to balance assets against liabilities. And cash flow is cash coming in as income and cash going out as expenses. It's the direction of cash flow that determines whether something is an income, expense, assets, or liability. Cash flow tells the story. So then he has some other definitions, and I'll read these. Okay, so golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. That's true. Income. The income that is received as a result of the normal business activities of an individual or business. The income statement or profit and loss statement. It measures income and expenses, money in and money out. Liability. Something that takes money out of your pocket. Okay. A mutual fund is a variety of stocks, bonds, or securities grouped together, managed by a professional investment company and purchased by individual investors through shares. The shares possess no direct ownership value in the various companies. And Social Security is a social welfare or social insurance program commonly funded through automatic payroll deductions to subsidize a person in their old age and disabilities. Financial aptitude is what do you do with the money once you make it? How to keep money from taking it from you? How to keep people from taking it from you, and how to keep it longer, and how to make that money work hard for you. So these are some great definitions right here to kind of keep and understand. All right, so we still have a couple of minutes, so we're going to go into lesson 3. And mind your business, it says. The rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else is focused on their income statement. So in 1974, Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, was asked to speak at the MBA class of the University of Texas in Austin. A friend of mine was a student in the MBA class. After a powerful and inspiring talk, the class adjourned, and the students asked Ray if he would join them with their favorite hangout to have a few beers. Ray graciously accepted. What business am I in? Ray asked once the group had all their beers in their hand. Everyone laughed. My friend said most of the MBA students thought Ray was just fooling around. No one answered, so Ray asked again, what business do you think I'm in? The students laughed again, and finally one brave soul yelled out, Ray, who in the world doesn't know that you're in the hamburger business? And Ray chuckled. That's what I thought you would say. He paused and then quickly added, ladies and gentlemen, I am not in the hamburger business. My business is in real estate. And I think that was so fascinating because a lot of people probably don't even realize that, think McDonald's is a hamburger joint, but really it's they're in real estate, business real estate. All right, so as my friend tells the story, Ray spent a good amount of time explaining his viewpoint in his business plan. Ray knew that the primary business focus was to sell hamburger franchises, but what he never lost sight of was the location of each franchise. He knew that the land and its location were the most significant factors in the success of each franchise. Basically, the person who bought the franchise was also buying the real estate under the franchise for Ray Kroc's organization. So today, McDonald's is the largest single owner of real estate in the world, owning even more than the Catholic Church. McDonald's owns some of the most valuable intersections and street corners in Americas around the globe. My friend considered this is one of the most important lessons in life. Today he owns car washes, but his business in the real estate is under those car washes. The previous chapter presented diagrams illustrating that most people work for everyone but themselves. They work first for the owners of the company, when the government through taxes, and finally for the bank they own their mortgages. When I was a young boy, we did not have McDonald's nearby. Yet my rich dad was responsible for teaching Mike and me the same lesson that Ray Kroc taught about the University of Texas. It is a secret number 3 of the rich. The secret is mind your own business. Financially struggle is often directly the result of people working all their lives for someone else. Many people will simply have nothing at the end of the working days to show for their efforts. Our current educational system focuses on preparing today's youth to get good jobs by developing skills. Their lives will revolve around their wages, or as described earlier, their income column. Many will study further to become engineers, scientists, cooks, police officers, artists, writers, and so on. These professional skills allows them to enter the workforce and work for money. But there is a big difference between a profession and your business. Often I ask people, what is your business? And they will say, oh, I'm a banker. Then I ask them if they own the bank. And they usually respond, no, I just work there. In that instance, they have confused their profession with the business. Their profession may be a banker, but they still need their own business. A problem with school is that you often become what you study. So if you study cooking, you become a chef. If you study the law, you become an attorney. And a study of auto mechanics makes you a mechanic. The mistake of becoming what you study is that many people forget to mind their own business. They spend their lives minding someone else's business and making that person rich. To become financially secure, a person needs to mind their own business. Your business revolves around your asset columns, not your income column. As stated earlier, the number 1 rule is to know the difference between an asset and liability and buy assets. The rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focus on their income statements. That is why we hear so often, I need a raise. If only I had a promotion. I am going back to school to get more training so I can get a better job. I am going to work overtime. Maybe I can get a second job. If in some circles, these are sensible ideas, but you are still not minding your own business. These ideas all still focus on the income column, which will help a person become more financially secure, and additional money is used to purchase income generating assets. So, the primary reason the majority of the poor and middle class are fiscal conservative, which means I can't afford to take risks, is that they have no financial foundation. They have to cling to their jobs and play it safe. So when downsizing became the in thing to do, millions of workers found out their largest so-called asset, their home, was eating them alive. Their assets was costing them money every month. Their car, another asset, was eating them alive. The golf clubs in the garage that cost $1,000 were not worth $1,000 anymore. Without job security, they had nothing to fall back on. So what they thought were assets could not help them survive at any time of a financial crisis. I assume most of us fill out a credit application to buy a house or a car. It's always interesting to look at the net worth section because of what accepted banking and accounting practice allow a person to count on assets. One day when I wanted a loan, my financial position did not look so good. So I added my new golf clubs, my art collection, books, electronics, Armani suits, watches, shoes, and other personal effects to boost the numbers in the asset columns. But I was turned down because I had too much investment real estate. The loan committee didn't like that I had so much money from rent. They wanted to know why I did not have a normal job with a salary. They did not question the Armani suits, golf clubs, or art collection. Life is sometimes tough when you do not fit the standard profile. So when you go get a loan, when you're in business or self-employed, it will kind of sometimes what he's saying is they'll frown up on you because you don't have a regular 9 to 5 job and a W-2 or paycheck every week. All right, so this one, I'm going to stop here on the last page. Go ahead and read this. And, maybe I'll take it to, we'll just finish out this. All right, so I cringe every time I hear someone say to me that their net worth is $1 million or $100,000 or whatever. One of the main reasons net worth is not accurate is simply because the moment you begin selling your assets, you are taxed for your gains. So many people have put themselves in deep financial trouble when they run short of income. To raise cash, they sell their assets, but their personal assets can generally be sold for only a fraction of the value that is listed on their personal balance sheet. Or if there is a gain on the sale of assets, they are taxed on the gain. So again, the government takes its share, thus reducing the amount available to help them out of debt. That is why I say someone's net worth is often worthless than you think. Start minding your own business. Keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets, not liabilities or personal effects that have no real value once you get them home. A new car loses nearly 25% of the price you pay for it the moment you drive it off the lot. It is not a true asset even if your banker lets you list it as one. My $400 new titanium driver was worth $150 the moment I sped off. Keep expenses low, reduce liabilities, and diligently build a base of solid assets. For young people who have not yet left home, it is important for parents to teach them the difference between an asset and liability. Get them to start building a solid asset column before they leave home and get married and buy a house and have kids and get stuck in a risky financial position, clinging to a job and buying everything on credit. I see so many young couples who get married and trap themselves into a lifestyle that will not let them get out of debt for most of their working years. For so many people, just as the last child leaves homes, the parents realize that they have no adequately prepared for retirement and they begin to scramble to put some money away. Then their own parents become ill and they find themselves with new responsibilities. So what kind of asset am I suggesting that you or your children acquire? In my world, real assets fall into the following categories. And so then he lists some categories. Let me take another drink of water. All right, so he lists businesses that do not require his presence. So basically, he owns them. They are managed and run by other people. If he have to work there, it's not a business. It becomes his job. Stocks, bonds, income generating real estate, notes, royalties from intellectual property such as music, scripts, and patents. Anything else that is valued, produces income, or appreciates and has a ready market. So as a young boy, my educated dad encouraged me to find a safe job. So I think most of our parents probably told us that when we were younger to, get a job and put your money in 401k and work for the rest 40 years. Because that's probably what they were, that's what they were taught. But the 40-year plan, no. So, I'm not saying nothing wrong with it, okay? Because I know most people probably do. But what I'm saying is that's not, what I wish. I would say when I was younger, I wish my parents wasn't teaching me that. I'll just say that. So you have to grow up and you just got to learn, figure it out on your own. So, as a young boy, my educated dad encouraged me to find a safe job. But my rich dad encouraged me to begin acquiring assets that I love. So if you don't love it, you won't take care of it. I collect real estate simply because I love building buildings and land. I love shopping for them, and I could look at them all day long. Me too. When problem arises, the problems aren't so bad that it changes my love for real estate. For people who hate real estate, they shouldn't buy it. I had also love stocks for small companies, especially startups, because I am an entrepreneur, not a corporate person. In my early years, I worked in a large organizations such as Standard Oil for California, the U.S. Marine Corps, and Xerox Corp. I enjoyed my time there with those organizations and have fond memories, but I know deep down I am not a company man. I like starting companies, not running them. So my stocks buys are usually of small companies. Sometimes I even start the companies and take it public. Fortunes are made in new stock issues, and I love the game. Many people are afraid of small cap companies and call them risky, and they are. But the risk is diminished if you love what the investment is. Understand it and know the game. With small companies, my investment strategy is to be out of stock in a year. On the other hand, my real estate strategy is to start small and keep trading up for bigger properties and therefore delaying paying taxes on the gain. This allows the value to increase dramatically. I generally hold real estate less than 7 years. For years, even while I was with the Marine Corps and Xerox, I did what my rich dad recommended. I kept my day job, but I still minded my own business. I was active in asset column trading, real estate, and small stocks. Rich Dad always stressed the importance of financial literacy. The better I was understanding the accounting and cash management, the better I would be analyzing investments and eventually starting to building my own company. I do not encourage anyone to start a company unless they really want to. Knowing what I know about running a company, I wouldn't wish the task on anyone. There are times when people can't find employment and starting a company seems like the best solution. But the odds are against success. 9 out of 10 companies fail the first 5 years. Of those that survive the first 5 years, 9 out of every 10 of those eventually fail as well. So, only if you really have the desire to own your own company do I recommend it. Otherwise, keep your day job and mind your own business. When I say mind your own business, I mean to build and keep your asset column strong. So once a dollar goes into it, never let it come out. Think of this way. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, it becomes your employee. The best thing about money is that it works 24 hours a day and can work for generations. Keep your day job, be a great hardworking employee, but keep building the asset column. So make it work, make it make sense for you, basically. If you're going to work a 9 to 5, make it make sense for you. As your cash flow grows, you can indulge in some luxuries. And important distinctions is that rich people buy luxuries last, while the poor and middle class tend to buy luxuries first. The poor and the middle class often buy luxury items like big houses, diamonds, furs, jewelries, or boats because they want to look rich. Oh, we all love that stuff though. They look rich, but in reality, they just get deeper in debt on credit. The old money people, the long-term rich, they build their asset columns first. Then the income generated from the asset columns buy their luxuries. The poor and middle class buy luxuries with their own sweat and blood and children's inheritance. A true luxury is a reward for investing in developing in real assets. For example, when Kim and I had extra money coming from our apartment houses, she went out and bought her Mercedes. It didn't take any extra work or risk on her part because the apartment house bought the car. She did, however, have to wait 4 years while the real estate investment portfolio grew and began generating enough extra cash flow to pay for the car. But the luxury, the Mercedes, was a true reward because she proved she knew how to grow her asset column. That car now means a lot more to her than simply another pretty car. It means she used her financial intelligence to afford it. Instead, most people impulsively go out and buy a new car or some other luxury on credit. They may feel bored or just want a new toy. We all love new toys, right? Who don't? Buying a luxury or credit often causes a person to eventually resent the luxury because the debt becomes a financial burden. So after you've taken the time and invested in it, built your own business, you are now ready to learn the biggest secret of the rich. The secret that puts the rich way ahead of the pack. All right, so we're going to stop there. So we will be on chapter 3. Lesson 3. Let me come back. Yeah. So this is getting good. So yeah, so we got to learn. Got to teach your kids, the difference between assets and liabilities, and basically what he said in this chapter if you're gonna keep your day job, be smart. Build up your asset column. You can still keep your day job, but build up your asset column and keep money growing, income producing assets, and what is this? And this book is getting good. So if anybody wants to read along next week, I normally come on Mondays around 8, but I pushed it up today till 6 at 6. So anyone want to start coming on and helping read, more than welcome. And I also have a ebook that I had wrote about business credit. If anybody is a small business owner and haven't started generating their business credit, click the link in my bio. I have an ebook that I break down step by step on how to build your business credit for your business. You can be up and running with business credit within 90 days if you do the steps that I tell you. I lay a lot of put a lot of gems in this book and tell you how to get started. So, but that's it. I'm signing off. Join me again next week. If I can, I'll come back on this week, but normally I've been doing once a week, and we still have